This right here is my usual working space, the desk, at which I do pretty much everything. The desk surface, at least, at which I do pretty much everything. Right beside it, I used to have my actual desk. It looks different now. Well, it's still the actual desk. I would never get rid of this. Number one, because it has some family, it has some sentimental value, but above all else, it's a very nice solid wood desk. You're never going to find something like this again, but I moved it. It used to be right up against that wall that the camera will not focus on. There we go. But it was right up against the wall, and now it is no longer right up against the wall. The unfortunate thing is that I thought I had a little bit more space to work with than I do on this. So this chair is now almost completely useless, but pay no mind to any of that. I'll have to go through that at some point, because a lot of that wiring is actually obsolete. But the real reason why I did this is because I actually need to get back here. And the reason why I need to get back here is simple. Let's see if I can open this without breaking absolutely everything. I need to get this out right here. And I need to get this out. This is being completely decommissioned. In fact, I shut it down for the last time probably almost a year ago. I don't remember. I think I made a video about that when I shut that down. But I don't remember. I think I made a video of its replacement at least. But it's got to come out. And this one has stopped working. In fact, it stopped working a long time ago. I had a problem with the disc. And because it's buried in here so badly, I just gave up on it. But it is now the time for me to go through this and maybe figure this one out too while I'm at it. Look how dirty that thing is. It's been running in here for so long, but somehow or another I gotta get these out of here. There's the first one. The one on the bottom, and this is the one that I'm going to completely dismantle because I don't really need it anymore. At least, maybe not completely, because what I think I'm actually going to do is I'm going to reuse this, or maybe I won't actually reuse this case, because it's actually kind of heavy. In fact, it's extremely heavy. It's all 5 1/4. There's no 3.5-inch bay in here whatsoever. Well, the bottom one is. It's got a floppy drive in it. What does this have for RAM? I don't know. There was some question, or I had some question, as to whether or not the power supply is actually still good. This is that Corsair VS650. I think I got this as an RMA return special. Deep cool fan in the back there. One of those Q87M-E motherboards. But the star of what I want out of this are these hard drives. Maybe not even all of them. But what I'm going to do, I gotta think about this. This Corsair VS650 power supply. Do I want to reuse it? I don't think it's 80 plus certified in any way, so what I might do, I might take it out anyway, but I'm not too worried about it for right now. There's a Rocket Raid 1740 still in there. You can take a look in here. That Rocket Raid 1740, that's right there. There's a screw in the bottom of the case as well. So maybe it's a good thing I'm taking this thing out of here. I don't know. But I'll tell you what I have to do. I gotta get all this cabling undone. What does this have in it for RAM? I'm kind of surprised to see all the slots populated, but I don't know. You know, I've been wondering where that beige 5 1/4 to 3.5-inch bay adapter went. I guess now I know. It went in here. So this doesn't really want to open any farther than this, and I used to think that it did, so I don't know what's up with that, but Let me get those out of here, because I'm curious what this was using to boot. I forgot how nice this was to service. It's really easy to you just pull 2 thumb screws, move this over. The only thing that's really in the way is the hard drive LED. And I suppose any fan wiring that you might have there, but I didn't put those in this case. I probably should have, but it didn't really matter. I am going to go ahead and pull the power supply out of this as well, because I'm going to reuse it in the second part of this project, which is really what this video is about. The video is not really about this, because this wouldn't really be worth making a video about, but I figure there ought to be some kind of closure on this machine, now that it's been like over a year since I took it out of service. I finally got it out of there. Okay, so here's a tally of everything that I've saved from that case, or pulled out of that case so far, at least. I know that it's probably going to get another motherboard because I plan on keeping that case and reusing it. There's all the screws. This is a Corsair VS650 power supply. I believe this is, in fact, the one that I had done that warranty claim on, and I uploaded a video about it, and people still laugh at me in that video thinking I don't know anything about what I'm talking about, you know, or to put it in better phrasing, I don't know what I'm talking about, even though it's an experience. I experienced it. Sometimes people's grasp on the obvious is just not good. This, I believe, is a 40 gigabyte Pacer SSD. I'm going to reuse that for the second part of this project. This is the 8 terabyte hard drive. That's going to go into the new box that I built. And then I got 4 2 terabyte drives. 3 of them are these Western Digital Green Power AV drives. One of them is a later Hitachi that I put in there after one of these ones failed. I don't know how good any of these drives are because I can't check the smart data. I mean, I know that one's fine, and I know this one's fine, but I don't know about these because the Rocket Raid didn't pass smart data. So, at least not valid smart data. I think it passed data for one of the drives. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and set all this stuff aside. I'm going to grab the other box. That might be fun to get out of there. Okay, well, I managed to get it out. It wasn't too bad, but was a little on the annoying side. Yeah, it's kind of choked with dirt, but that's okay. So, the object of my interest here today, number one, I'm going to have to change this power supply. Well, I don't have to, but I'm going to change this power supply. The other thing I'm going to change, I mean, I probably don't have to. That SSD is probably fine. In fact, you know what? I'm going to assume the SSD is fine, and I'm going to just put it back and reinstall. And we'll see where we go from there. But power supply is the first thing. Got to get that out of here. Focus. Alright, we have the new power supply installed. The wiring is not any better than the old one. Well, at least it's kind of bundled up a little bit. But it's still a little bit of a waste. This would be a much better system suited for... The irony is that actually that case down there, with the exception of the fact that it's got the 2.5-inch hard drive, that other case has 4 hard drive bays. This would have been well suited for that. Oh well. I'm not putting that back in there because that thing is heavy. I don't actually know how much RAM this has in it. I think it's got 16 gig. Those are 4 gigabyte, modules. So now what I need to do is I need to get a USB stick. I'm going to put the cover back on this, which, if you're wondering, this case is an Acer case. I believe this, I mean, it's an Aspire. I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't know if the side cover would actually say what it was. Oh, it does. Look at that. Here's what this was originally, an i7 870. Yeah, it's pretty old. If I remember right, the motherboard had actually failed on this. That was why I ended up getting it. So, I'm going to put the side cover on, get this thing hooked up, get my USB stick, and we're going to go ahead and reinstall the operating system on this. Alright, we're cabled up. Let's see if this thing will actually power on, or if it just explodes with 6-foot flames. Now it's on. Is it posting? Does not look very promising. It is running, but it is not posting. Wonder what's up with that. Maybe this motherboard failed. Okay, grab the motherboard out of the other system. Also grabbed a speaker. I'm just going to give it juice and see what happens. Okay, it's booting. So that's working. Alright, take 2. With the other motherboard. Much better. Hopefully it'll let me into setup here. No keyboard detected. Alright, well, I'm getting a different keyboard, I guess. Take 3 with an out-of-focus USB keyboard. I don't know why the focus on this camcorder doesn't work. It's really annoying and I wish it wouldn't do that. This should be identical spec to the board that came out of here. Yeah, here we go. Undefined. Ooh. i5 4440 with 16 gigs of RAM. We go to advanced mode and just make sure that the onboard devices, the PXE OP-ROM is enabled and the OEM disable boot is off. So we're going to Control-Alt-Delete. I should have replaced the fan in the back of the case with a better one, but the fan that's there is working. There's nothing wrong with it. I just want the MAC address, the client MAC address on this. So we'll pause it, I'll grab that, I'll update my DHCP stuff, and then I will be right back thanks to the magic of video editing. Okay, out of curiosity here. It seems like it's booting and actually working. See if it'll actually work on this. Smart warning, smart OK, smart OK, smart warning. Why do we have a smart warning? Total count of error bits, okay. Seems to be okay though. And here's that stupid monitor message about the wrong thing. I don't really care. Command timeout. That's a little high, so I wonder if the cable's bad. Maybe I should replace it while I'm here, but you know what? I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to let this thing boot, or I'll let this thing try and boot. I assume the operating system is still okay. Because I thought that the OS crashed and that was why I stopped using this, but apparently it was that the motherboard failed. Okay, so here is the console. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to Network. We'll go to General, we'll change the name back. Just beeped at me to tell me it's active. Oh, 500, cannot extend. This is likely due to an invalid typed something or another. So I think the OS is screwed up. Okay, this install is definitely screwed up. So I'm going to go ahead and I am just going to start fresh. I'm also going to use this opportunity to move to the latest release. So this is version 8, or it will be version 8. It's a pretty simple process. And we are now installing hopefully to the correct drive, although I guess I don't really care if it nukes the data. I've got a couple of backups. Okay, pull out the USB stick. And the camera's running out of battery, that's good. I did see Deb 13, so it looks like it did erase the right drive, so that's good. I still don't know why it's picking up a different IP address every time. Okay, so I have parts of this configured. Now I have to reconfigure these storage situations. So the first thing I need to do is I need to get my hand on the multiple device plugin because it's a plugin now. It's no longer built in. We'll come to storage. I have my 4 disks, that's good. I have my MD right there, that's good. File systems, okay, I want to mount an existing file system. So we'll mount that one, and we'll mount that one. I need to mount them both. We'll apply those changes. Then I gotta get the shared folders back. I'm just gonna leave it wide open. I mean, it's my network. And of course, my question is, could I access that now from here? And it looks like the answer to that question, maybe. If the Explorer doesn't blow up, which it did. Okay, I don't know what's going on with Windows. Oh, actually, I'm an idiot. I gotta set server message block up, don't I? Yeah, might be a good idea. I don't need the home directories. Minimum protocol, that's probably fine. Asynchronous I/O, we'll do a full log level, just because why not? Okay, it's not public, it's not read-only, it is browsable. We have a recycle bin on it. I'm going to make another one for the backup. This is read-only. So that should be alright. We'll hit apply. So now, if I go to the dashboard, I should have CIFS right there. Now can I do this? Is this something I can do? There we go. Now, do I have permission to write to it? I do. So, it is working now. Good. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up an rsync server. This is temporary. And we'll apply those changes. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this off and put it back in the rack. I got to do some reconfiguration on that rack because I need to get my monitor back up and running because I took that out when I moved the table, because obviously, the desk, because it was sitting on top of the desk. And obviously it can't sit on top of the desk anymore because there's not enough cable for it to reach. So let me do all of that, and I will be right back, thanks to the magic of video editing. Okay, sorry but not sorry about the lighting. I've got the KVM switch set. Let's see if this thing boots or if I broke it transferring it to the rack. Right, video. I hear something with a bad fan in here. So that's really good. I will at some point definitely need to come in here and redo all this wiring because this is not not tenable, eh? I think it's actually got the right IP address. I guess I'll find out in a bit. But wait, there's more. Just when you thought the video was over, I've waited so long to edit it that I can actually go ahead and throw this into this video so I don't have to make a separate one. And that's how I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to go ahead and put this motherboard into the machine. This is an Asus Prime A320M-K. And I'm a little disappointed in this motherboard because, as it turns out, this has an A10-9700 APU on it. It's an AM4 board, so that's one of the really, really late APUs, one of the early AM4 chips. It's Bristol Ridge. And as it turns out, the later releases of the BIOS on this thing drop support for the Bristol Ridge chips, which I think is really stupid. And a massive regression. I don't know why they did that. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. The thing that actually clued me into that was the fact that the Easy Flash 3 utility on the latest BIOS kept saying selected file is not a proper BIOS, and I'm like, well, gee, I downloaded it from the page for this motherboard. What's going on? So I looked into it and found that out. It's a good thing this thing won't actually flash. Won't actually flash the BIOS if it knows that it's incompatible, because otherwise I'd have a brick. I know I do have another AMD chip sitting around that I could probably put in this, but I'm not going to do that because I have other uses in mind for that chip, so I don't know, maybe at some point this will get like a 3000G or something. I haven't really decided yet. But I gotta go ahead and get the machine back out, which means I gotta come in here and turn it off. Power it down again. You know, it seems like just yesterday I put this together, but it's actually been quite a while. It's over a month later. So let's tear it apart. Get this motherboard out of here. And move on to the next board. At least for the time being. I'm hoping that this is going to actually work and that standoff isn't going to be a problem. I guess I'll find out in a second once I get this old board out what's going on with that. Out with the old, in with the new. We now have it installed. And that standoff is not going to affect the board at all. The only problem is that there's no standoff under that entire corner. So over time, that's probably just going to sag. I hope that's not going to break it, but I don't know. I did change the CMOS battery as well because the original battery was dead because this thing has sat around for so long. You know, I've had this board earmarked for a project basically since I bought it, and I never ever used it for that. So it doesn't have a whole lot of hours on the clock. Really doesn't have a whole lot of hours on the clock at all. It does have an M.2 slot. And I wonder if that M.2 can function in addition to the SATA ports or if it's ganged to the SATA ports. If it can function in addition to, then it might be possible to someday convert this to a, what's the word? Convert it to a, I'm drawing a blank. Why am I drawing a blank? A RAID 10 setup. But for right now, I'm not really hurting for storage space, so RAID 1 with a backup is about where we're getting at this point. So this thing has its own built-in backup system, which is nice. But now I gotta plug all these darn cables in. And that's the part that I hate. I always hate doing that. Okay. I've got it cabled up. So I didn't plug in any of the front panel USB because I don't know what is there is USB and what there is something else, because I think this does have a front panel FireWire connection, and I know that it also has a front panel card reader. I don't know what this has for front panel ports. Or is it all USB? No, it looks like it's all USB, so okay. Good to know. Maybe I will just plug those in because I believe that they're all USB. I'm not going to use them anyway, so I don't really care all that much, but might as well plug them in. Right? Right? Yeah, we'll plug them in. Sure, why not? Hopefully without damaging anything. Alright, let me get this thing cabled up and we'll get it powered up. I'm going to have to change the MAC address on the Ethernet, but we'll get all that done. Alright, juice it up. There's our beep. Alright, Realtek boot agent. Okay, I should have the MAC address there, so I can go ahead and get this working. Okay, let's see if it'll actually boot, because it didn't when I went to go boot from the next device. Okay, here it comes. Here, accessing the drives. Let me go ahead and log in here. I think I'm going to have to change the network interface. Okay, configure network interface, yes. DHCP, I don't need IPv4. Sure, enable wake on LAN. Don't see anything happening yet. So that's interesting. And I know it has an address because I just PXE booted it. Okay, I have a light now. Okay. IP address that it's getting. Yeah, there it is. So let's just make sure that it actually works properly before I put it back. Okay, looks good. We are now running, and it looks like we're working. Do I have... The interesting thing about this, do I have... I should probably have the smart status. Might go for the disk temperature as well. I definitely don't want to select them all. No monitor, really? Alright, so we're now good. Smart status on all drives is good. The RAID is good. Everything here is good. So I'm going to go in and run updates on this. Get all the updates installed before I go ahead and put this away. But I'm going to close the video with that because there really isn't anything else that is really worth talking about with this. So there you go. Getting the machine back up and running and replacing the motherboard with something new. And so that stuff that I spent that money on will now finally actually get a use. Isn't that nice?